I am Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Susi.
And we're paranormal specialists who live in the most haunted city on earth, Savannah, Georgia. Every day is Halloween in our line of work, so join us as we spin true tales of haunts, murders, and disturbing Savannah history. I'm Madison.
I'm Chris.
And welcome to the most haunted city on earth. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the most haunted city on earth. My name is Madison Timmons.
And I'm Chris Susi.
And I'm Pico's Hank the Storm Chaser on YouTube.
Oh my God. No, you're not.
That was crazy.
No, JT loves Pico's Hank. He is, if you are a fan of tornado watching and things like that, JT's a big fan of it. And Pico's Hank is, in our humble opinion, that he is the best storm chaser on YouTube. He gets really great footage, and he does go and help, aid people after the tornado passes, but he always makes sure you get that good inside
good footage.
inside the tornado footage. But,
yeah.
But anywho, that is not the topic of today's episode.
No, much darker.
Yeah, a lot darker. So today, I don't know if anybody who's listening to this podcast is aware of the drama that is going on with the Conjuring house right now. But as a paranormal group, if you will, we, of course, were privy to it, and we love some tea every once in a while. So I have sifted through all of the tea for you, and it is served, and it is very hot.
All right.
It is very hot. So do you want to preface with this episode? I'm going to be referencing a lot of screenshots and files and things like that were mentioned in Jason Hawes's video over on YouTube. He was able to get together all the employees that are involved in this drama, if you will, and he did a big, filming on Zoom, and they provided him with all these screenshots and things like that. So they're not public necessarily. I mean, obviously they are public to a degree because they're on the internet. But
they're not our property.
Yeah, they're not our property. So if you do want to see the physical screenshots or these documents, even though I'm going to read you everything it says, if you want to see the physical ones, go watch Jason's video.
I'll link it down below.
Yeah, it is very interesting, very thorough, and a really great reference point because he did it in real time of all of this happening. But he also is a little bit closely related to this, and we'll get into that.
We'll get into that. Let's talk about that.
All right. So basically, it's kind of hard to figure out where to start with all this drama because we're going to be jumping through the timeline a little bit as we go. But basically, the gist of what is happening right now is the owner of the Conjuring house has been threatening former employees with lawsuits for telling the truth.
Yes.
That's essentially the idea that we're going for. And now we're going to go in more depth of that. So the first thing I think that's worth mentioning is the original post that the Conjuring house made. Also worth mentioning, the Conjuring house has since deleted their whole Instagram.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Not that they followed anybody. They only followed Taylor Swift for some odd reason.
I knew that.
Yeah.
Actually.
Good on you.
Taylor lost a follower?
I know.
I'm outraged.
I know. But the whole house was like, we're not following anybody but Taylor Swift. That's what the ghost requested. But
and she listens to that.
Yeah. Don't spoil things. Anyways.
Sorry.
So basically, the Conjuring house since deleted their Instagram, and there is no telling if there were any posts that were made on Instagram at any point out of the heat of the moment or what have you, because it seems to be a running theme throughout all of this. But the Facebook is still very live and active. Mm-hmm. Like I said, basically, Jason Hawes was able to do all of this in real time. And if you're not familiar with Jason, he is from the original TAPS team. He still is a part of TAPS.
Do you know him, Chris?
I've met him on a couple.
I knew that was coming.
He's
but at events, it's not like we were hanging out.
right.
Sure.
Yeah, he's a very interesting guy. But he also is a little bit personally connected to this because Satori, if you ever watched Sam and Cody, is that their names?
Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
guess so.
Sam and Cody, the YouTubers that recently did like the big
They
investigation
did
of the
a week,
Conjuring.
a week solid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did. They did a week solid there.
So you saw Satori and her fiance in that, and Satori is Jason's daughter, which
Wow.
Which puts it into an interesting context.
Yeah.
Because having any legitimacy in this field is very difficult to come by. And to squander legitimacy in this field is so devastating, especially since you don't just take yourself down, you take everyone else in the field down a few notches.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a good point.
and we're seeing it with like Zach Bagans and, whenever the criticism comes against them, anytime there is a question of validity, it doesn't just affect the person who's doing the, engineering.
Right.
It affects everyone because all of a sudden the entire field is knocked down.
Yeah.
Because why bother believing,
Exactly.
anything?
Well, exactly. And if you've been keeping up with the paranormal community online in every facet, if you will, for the past, I don't even know, since the internet's existed, there's always some drama usually happening. This one just, I think, is really catching a lot of attention because it is such a famous and well-loved home and story.
Well,
But-
and because these owners took over recently and changed the very vibe of the place for a lot of people who investigated there. And that probably brings a lot of focus on it as well. A lot
Yep.
of people start really paying attention to kind of a political,
Right.
atmosphere of who's being allowed here, what are they being allowed to say, what are they being allowed to do, why are investigators being told what they can interpret? Why are they being told what they're allowed to express they felt? All of those
Exactly.
things become questions. And I think people started like having a more critical eye over the management of the Conjuring House. And that also brings pressure, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because now the Conjuring House is under the pressure and scrutiny of a lot of people who feel like they were treated, even us, definitely felt
Definitely.
like we were being penned in or gagged, really. We were being told what we could and could not say.
It was insane. It was insane. Like, I will say, like, I'm the producer of this podcast, so I'm in contact with all the people we go to. I'm kind of like our voice, and this was unfreaking believable. The amount of stress I was put through.
Or
to
Debria.
Yeah, and Debria. And Debria is the editor. I mean, re-edits after re-edits after re-edits. We had to
Such
send
micromanaging
was
from an organization that had
micromanaging.
nothing to do with us.
Yeah, it was so true. One of the biggest thing is when you're a para junkie, we do a live stream all the way through for everybody, and for everyone, all the para junkies, and we do it the entire night. Where we stayed live for like almost not, I think like 7 to 9 hours in that range, and it was, and they found out that we did, and they made us take it down. Like, they were like really upset about it, and we're just like,
Even though that's really common
we paid
practice.
thousands of dollars to do this for a night, and you won't let us live stream. You put it like it's crazy. I read all the rules. I didn't see that. So
Well, they did get us too on only one platform.
yeah.
Meaning it became difficult because YouTube, but also our podcast sits on other platforms.
Right.
And we were supposed to pay for each platform that this information was going out on. It was very strenuous, I should say.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was extremely strenuous.
Irritating, to say the least. But we'll get into that a little bit more because that is a very common theme
Yes.
of conversation. So with the post that really spurred the public attention of what was going on, it, like I said, has now been deleted. But Jason did get a screenshot of it. And so I can read it to you, what it said. And like I said, if you want to go see or anything that we're referencing, go watch Jason's video on his channel. But so on July 10th, the Conjuring House posted, and I quote, "Happy July, everybody." Also, I should mention, there is, with this owner, there is a lot of strong language that she uses constantly. So
Just say
bear
it.
that in mind. So just letting you know, mostly JT, so you can make note.
I'll mark it as explicit.
But happy July, everybody. I'm hearing a lot of hateful rumblings from people who are not in the Conjuring House supportive moves by the sounds of it, which is a weird thing to say to begin with, but okay.
Odd.
So as you know, TCH, the Conjuring House, is the most haunted location in the world,
Whoa.
which is
bold.
that's a loaded
Heard that in
statement,
Greece.
but we attract hundreds of people from around the globe per month to Burrillville, Rhode Island to partake in one of our fucking experiences. And mind you, this is
Whoa.
a direct quote.
We didn't get that offer.
No.
Just saying.
Couldn't book that one.
But
God.
You got to pay extra for that.
Yep.
God.
$800 extra. But anyways, I am told, though, that some members of the paranormal community and government officials, she did not specify the government
Government officials.
but and government officials keep attacking the Conjuring House.
Government officials.
I know. I who knows? Maybe it's like Rhode Island or something, or you'll see this woman.
Yeah.
Kind of
Okay.
makes situations in her mind. But regardless, so yeah, government officials keep attacking the Conjuring House. There are many wonderful paranormal investigators and honest government people who have consistently supported the paranormal field. Many members of the paranormal community have commended the expansion of experiences at TCH to broaden the interest in the paranormal activity that demonstrates continuity of consciousness. As to others, whatever. We really do...
Heard.
Yeah. We really
Whatever.
do... Whatever. Anyways.
Under the burn book.
We really do not care about people who abuse and attack people. We consider them evil and wicked people.
Oh.
In fact, we never want any person with these personality afflictions to visit us at TCH.
Even
So-
if they pay you?
Right. She said nar.
Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah, so if you are among the wicked mood personality challenge, then stay away.
Okay.
We now have the kindest, hardworking people with positive outlooks on our staff, which I believe is only her right now because the entire team walked.
Wow.
So
Okay.
she is the one I think she's referring to. But
Good Lord.
our all new staff with just a couple previous staff who consists of, and she inserted the names, but those names were
Redacted.
yeah. There's always growing pains when you start or take over a business. I am not apologetic that I needed to turn over the first wave of TCH staff, which you'll come to learn is not how that went down. But the reason for the dismissal of these people were because they were cruel and hateful verbal abusers towards others. Suspecting that some staff are fraudulent in their investigation methods, I will never be defeated nor destroyed now or at any time in the fucking future. So fucking be it.
What?
And this is public. On the Conjuring, not under her name, but
This is
under the Conjuring House.
Goodness gracious.
Right. Very professional, right, Trisha?
Seriously.
It's insane.
Although there is argument for possession at this point.
Fair enough.
Okay. Oh, boy.
Not out of the question, but I appreciate the township of Burrillville, Rhode Island for their support and guidance. I have helped TCH to grow its business and attract tourists from around the world since I bought the property and business in May of 2022.
Oh, she's probably talking about local government,
Probably.
like Chamber of Commerce or something like that, along those lines.
Well, they are evil and wicked, so stay away. Anyways, as always, we welcome any and all paranormal curious and or paranormal enthusiasts and seasoned paranormal investigators to our location, as long as they are not evil and wicked.
How do you gauge that?
Right.
Is there an evil meter there? Is there? I mean, do we take a breathalyzer test? At what point because like, do evil people show up and say, "Hi, I'm evil
and or wicked.
and would like access to your abode"? Yeah, that's weird. It's weird that is the phrasing that keeps coming up: evil, and or wicked.
Yeah. And Lexi said, "Ooh, plot twist."
That's crazy.
Every day we meet people who have traveled far and wide with anticipation to have an authentic paranormal experience. We look forward to hosting all the good and morally upright people.
Again, strange.
It's very strange. Because the world is filled with such people, much more than the hateful and wicked, low density people. I'm gonna
low density?
I'm gonna steal that one.
Yeah,
you are a low density person.
You are a low dense person.
I didn't realize that density and evil were connected somehow. Nini says that we need an evil meter.
We do. We'll put it over
absolutely.
the door, and it'll just go. But
God. What I have to freaking deal with, y'all.
oh my god.
Continuing on.
But the wicked and low density people that should look in the mirror rather than rage at people, animals, community, habitats surrounding them.
What's happening to the animals? Who's attacking the animals?
Goodness.
I have no idea, but apparently the low density people.
The low density people would attack animals. Low density.
This post is directed at specific people in the United States and elsewhere.
Specific
And
people anywhere.
So she deleted this though.
Yeah, she did.
Because so maybe
Well,
she looked
somebody
back
had
and
to
was like,
have pointed out.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
girl.
Good
Like,
girl.
I don't know if you know, but this kind of sounds like the ranting of unwell, unbalanced, possibly low density person.
She probably was like drunk or something. And wrote
no,
this.
she. Wait till you hear the text.
Okay.
She
All
talks
right,
like this
all right.
all the time.
We got to
It's-
keep moving. You're right.
Okay, so who I am told are abusing and attacking people for no fucking reason, other than to terrify them from continuing their interest in consciousness and paranormal activity. The state of Rhode Island has defended its businesses that have come under attack from wicked and evil forces to curtail their freedom of expression. Ain't that ironic?
Oh, yeah.
And then she goes on to talk about how Rhode Island was founded, but that's besides the point of what we're talking about.
Wow.
So I didn't.
This is all in the same.
Yes. So we're gonna skip over the Rhode Island founding, but
Yes.
so let's after that. So just to give you the basis of who we are dealing with here.
Oh, Kirk.
Kirk says, sounds like my ex-wife.
Trisha said I should copyright low density. But
Gracious. Oh, welcome, Misfit. What's up? Goodness gracious.
Now that you know who this person is, kind of, let's talk about how she got the property to begin with.
Yeah, I'm interested in that.
So Corey and Jen were the owners of the Conjuring house before selling it to the current owner. Now, when I was listening to their description, you could tell they were kind of skirting around some details for the fear of legal trouble, I think, because it was very legal in the whole process of her getting this property. But so the reason why the current owner has the house is because, according to Corey and Jen, she felt entitled to it and put a lawsuit on us, which seems to be her MO. But
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
she put a lien on the house and and stopped us from looking at other people to purchase the home because they had actually been trying to get Jason Hawes to buy the house.
Right. Which makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was not going to happen because of this situation. She felt that an agreement that we signed, which was null and void in the state of Rhode Island, according to our lawyers, made her entitled to that house. So they had signed some agreement, I think, because of their advisement from their realtor. And so they had signed this document before the purchasing sales agreement had been signed.
Okay.
They had somehow broken that initial agreement due to the bad advice from their realtor, and they didn't want to sign the purchasing sales agreement. So that's when she took them to court in the guise of saying she wanted to talk it out.
Okay.
Which is a weird place to do it if you're just trying to talk it out. But Jen said at first she loved her because of how much she showed that she loved the property and how hard she was fighting to get it. But overall, they felt like they had no choice but to sell it to her due to how long everything was being drug out.
Okay.
Sure.
And they did stay actively involved in this property as staff members. They just couldn't own the property anymore.
Okay.
So that is how she got the property, just with a lot of legal threat and nuance, it seems like. Now, mentioning back to the post, there was a big point in that post that was a major discrepancy, which really was she claims that she let go of all these employees, her entire staff, which is not what happened.
Okay.
She had mentioned in that post that she fired everybody, but back on April 26, 2024, at 9:44 p.m., there's a screenshot of the resignation letter in Jason's video because his daughter was the one who sent it.
Dang.
And all of the employees...
Who's Satori?
Yes.
Satori
sent it. All the employees, Aaron Bush, Cody Desbins, Satori Hawes, Steve Mills, and Reed Bottiger, which was our tour guide...
Oh,
Reed.
Yeah.
Right.
They all turned in their joint resignation letter. And this is what the resignation letter said.
oh boy.
Hello, I hope you are doing well, as I know the situation must be extremely tough, and I'm really, really sorry. We are meeting this way. I spoke to the owner's name yesterday in regards to the business. We know that the owner often does not remember conversations, so I wanted this in writing in case that happens. The following staff members have gave their resignation yesterday to the owner through me, since she has my number, and that will take effect on Friday, May 3rd, 2024 at 11 a.m. We have done our absolute best to manage this for her the past months and to keep this away from the public. We have only been met with anger and accusations about the situation in December and January, which...
It's when we went.
Yes, and we'll get into that because a lot of weird things happened the week before we got there.
Oh, wow.
So from the owner and the time leading up to her current and they blanked something out in this part, but she said some pretty horrific things about members of the staff that were untrue, undeserved, and extremely hurtful. We all told her in February that if she put us in this position again, we would have no choice but to leave with every single staff member. And every single staff member has gone above and beyond to try and help her and the business. We've done all of this out of love, care, and concern for her, the house, the spirits, but we can no longer watch this happen as it has affected us deeply. The devastation that the staff feels for the entire situation can't be described in words. We are legally uncomfortable to handle any cancellations for bookings or refunds due to the current situation. I also asked the owner yesterday to shut down the house for the purpose of, another word blanked out, getting the business back on track. She declined that option. We strongly urge the owner to reconsider shutting down the house before visitors show up to an empty and the rumor mill begins.
Oh, boy.
We want her to be out, another blanked out word, before the house opens back up again. We cannot be held responsible for what happens with the business or the house after May 3rd, 2024. We are so sorry that it had to come to this, but we have no other choice. She has no caretaker coverage for the month of May. Sage will be there to handle tours on May 3rd and 4th, but no one will be at the house for overnights starting May 3rd, 2024. There is no coverage for tours after May 4th, 2024. Should no one be at the house after 11 a.m. on May 3rd to check people in and run the events, we cannot be held responsible for the fallout from the situation from angry guests We have been through this before when she did not show up on January 19th, 2024, which we will talk more thoroughly about.
Crap.
She didn't show up.
Oh,
when
wow.
people
So
had
there was like a
bookings.
chance she might not have showed up for us.
For real. No, for real.
But we got the boy Reed.
Yeah. Well, Reed had to handle this situation too. So that boy's been through the ringer.
He looked when he was giving us the tour. He looked like he was like hurting a little bit.
Lorelai said, sounds like she's evil and wicked. But despite knowing she was on the schedule and we were assured she would be there, the situation was devastating for the entire staff and reflected badly on the staff when it was not our fault. The owner asked me to give her all of our Venmo information and that is owed to staff. I'm not comfortable giving that to her directly in the light of her current situation. Unfortunately, that means I'm sending it all over to you. Trying to relay all of this over the phone would be difficult and probably inappropriate given her current blank at this point. We have to focus on the house, taking care of it and guests in all admin ways until next Friday. In all reality, we have handled this on our own for quite a while now. The Venmo information is below, and then it jumps to the next part. We are so sorry that it has come to this. It is not what any of us wanted, but in the light of all that has transpired, we no longer can rely on the owner to consistently manage this business in her current state. The staff cannot continue to work unpaid. We want nothing for her but to be happy and healthy, but we feel she's not allowing that to happen for herself. We're fully aware we may not get paid for any of this, but we have chosen to remain at the house the last month out of our love for the house, the spirits, her animals, which I guess somebody, her animals, that was not mentioned further, but, and each other, we all truly wish the very best for the owner and hope she gets the help that she needs and can recover from this quickly and move on with her life in the way we all hope she can. So after the staff sent this email, about 10 minutes later, that's when the owner started sending very aggressive messages to the staff members via text. So the messages started out with her begging people to come back to work because she needed them. But when all of them declined to do so, the messages started getting worse and worse and more angry. She threatened to call people fake because she felt like that was the best way to attack them.
Wow.
People didn't want to return to, because the work environment was toxic, where she was verbally berating them, screaming, yelling, calling them nasty things. So it was understandable that they did not want to return. But on top of saying she was going to call them fake, she also was threatening to sue them if they did not return to work. Which I don't know how well that would go over in court, but nonetheless. And one of the first members that got kind of the brunt of the beginning of this was actually one of the previous owners, Corey. Corey got accusations of stealing. Now, he is not the one that we're going to discuss later who was like, oh, $9,000. But Corey, it was a simple thing that he was actually already resigned. His wife was still working. The other owner, Jen, she was still working at the house and she was a part of that big leave. But Corey had actually already been out of the business. So just bear that in mind when you're hearing this. So Corey, the previous owner, continued to work at the house even when he didn't own it anymore because he loved the property, but he eventually ended up resigning. And he was one of the victims accused of stealing. So Corey and Jen were out to dinner with Corey's parents for their anniversary when he got a voicemail from the booking agency that the house uses to do their events. It was directed towards the owner. It wasn't even about him, but it was calling his phone number. So Jen suggested that he forward it to their email so that the owner knows that the booking agency is trying to get a hold of them. Well, very quickly after, the owner sends a group text, even though he hadn't spoken to her in a few months. Mm-hmm. And the message read, "What the fuck have you done, Jennifer and Corey? How much money have you stolen from me?" And mind you, this is a booking agency just trying to get a hold of her.
What the heck?
Yeah. What the fuck is blank? Leaving a voicemail for Corey regarding my fucking email about who's been messing with my blank account, including missing money. You have no fucking idea what is about to happen to you.
Woo!
So they respond with, Jen responds, hold yourself. We did nothing. We had no idea why they called us. I assume it's because he was on blank before. We have nothing to do with blank, nor we have any idea what you are accusing us of. We thought we would be nice and forward that to Kevin as it is addressing you. The owner responds to that with, you're lying, Jennifer. You and Corey were deactivated, so there is no reason why after an email from me expressing concerns of someone messing with my account that they would leave Corey a voicemail. I will find out everything, and if you have siphoned money, you will be paying it back. So, important to know, one of the employees that left is a woman named Erin, and Erin was their admin person. Mm-hmm. And she clarified this, that basically the way their booking platform worked, you can't really alter anything like that. It's very, very limited. You can't even change the bank account that the money goes to. You'd have to make a whole separate account.
Sure.
And she was saying, so there's no way it could have been happening that way. And then also there was no way they could have been issuing refunds to people but putting in their credit card, because you wouldn't be able to change the credit card on the system. It had to go back to the card where the purchase was made. So she was like, it would literally not be possible for them, especially because they did not have access to this account anymore. More than likely, she said what happened was probably they had been trying to get a hold of her because she had emailed them and they couldn't get a hold of her. So they just went down the line of phone numbers that were associated with the account.
Okay.
So that's crazy.
Nuts.
And I won't read you Corey's messages because Corey is a lot too aggressive, a little too aggressive for this podcast to read what he said to her. But he gave her.
But suffice to say, he was pushed far and he pushed back.
Exactly.
We can't read. It's like too.
Yeah, it's very vulgar. Like extremely vulgar.
I mean, it's already explicit.
Listen, I don't even have it written down. It was that aggressive.
Right.
So,
wow. Okay.
But yeah, so Erin, like I said, was one of the employees. So she literally completely refuted that was possible. So big issue for her. Then Cody and Satori were next in line, and they got called frauds publicly by the owner.
Wow.
And y'all know, if you watched Sam and Cody's video, they love Cody and Satori at that house. They are like prized gems for their branding. And so that's a big deal that they would call them frauds. But so even though there have been multiple popular paranormal investigations who didn't necessarily believe in their knocking method, and when they go to the Conjuring house, now this also very well could be following the narrative that this woman has set forward, which you will hear a little bit later. That seems to be a trend with her, that she wants everything to be on the same idea that she wants for the house. But
yeah.
Yeah,
I feel that.
Anytime people who didn't believe in the method would ask caretakers if it's real, and to be 100% honest, every single time people would say it is real. So if you're just going on face value of what people are saying, it does go against at least the stance that the Conjuring house has taken. Mm-hmm. But apparently, Cody and Satori were also being told whose investigations they had to go to do this method, even if they didn't want to.
What?
So,
wow.
Let's spill some tea here real quick, y'all.
Yeah.
So when we were planning our investigation, we had specifically emailed them on the off chance, if it was possible. We had asked if Cody and Satori would like to join us, at least for, maybe an hour or two, just to do the knocking method, just because we were curious about how it worked. And we were told that Cody and Satori do not do this particular method unless they come across people organically.
Yes.
Yes. Yep. That was the exact. Yeah.
And we were like, well, can we organically
They
meet
kind of
them
made
at a
it sound
coffee
like
shop?
they didn't have true affiliation with the Conjuring
Right.
House. They certainly made it
Exactly.
seem like they were this independent, entity.
Right, which is crazy because they were on the staff.
Yeah, right.
So-
Which was like our impression, but when we asked,
Yep.
it was our impression that they worked for the Conjuring House. We were given the impression from the Conjuring House that they did not work there, only to find out that they are the ones who wrote the letter of resignation.
Yep.
Yeah. This
Interesting.
podcast is only a couple years old, and we, this was our first big haunting. We spent thousands and thousands of dollars to do it, and I dealing with her. I was like, wow, is this how they all are? And I honestly got like extremely disheartened after dealing with the Conjuring House, coming back and just feeling micromanaged and all that. And then I was like, all right, we're gonna try one more. And it was Waverly Hills, and Tina was the biggest breath of fresh air. I'm like, they're not all like this.
She was very
She
accommodating.
was amazingly
and very wonderful.
accommodating.
Well, and armchair psychiatrist kind of situation is this seems like there's something deeper at stake here.
Yeah.
That there is, some form of mania going on.
Right.
Something far more rooted in need for help. I think this individual should seek out whatever help is available, because it does sound highly detrimental,
Right.
to all relationships
Might be
and to
mania.
any business that you try to endeavor, especially when you start. And we got a good taste of it. We got a good taste
Right.
of
we got a taste of
we experienced things and had concepts based on our experience that they would not let us share. That they had final say on whether or not we could sense or say what we witnessed or felt, and it's like, that's so strange, because you would think that the wider variety of experiences in a location, the wider a variety of people will want to come and try to suss out what's going on.
Right.
But when that narrative got so thin and tight that it was like, oh, okay, like not even
You couldn't suggest anything.
you couldn't suggest a thing.
You couldn't suggest anything. In the final video we had to send them, they sent back so many re-edits on Chris just suggesting something. Maybe this. He's not
Just our
saying
thought
this is a
process.
fact.
Right.
Yeah.
He's just suggesting things. And Debria had to go back and cut out all of the things Chris suggested. I'm like, this man suggests a lot. It's like his thing. And so it's just like crazy. He
Right,
comes
yeah,
up with good ideas, and he's like, and he thinks it in a different way. And then she comes back and goes, he can't think any type of way.
Because it didn't fit her narrative.
Yeah.
Which Satori straight up said that is a big thing with her, is everything has to fit the narrative she wants.
Yes.
But it is very sad that for Cody and Satori, they had felt like they were animals in a zoo,
Right.
because
Yo.
they were at her beckoning call and there was nothing they could do about it.
Weeks.
Because they felt like if they turned down a investigation where the owner wanted them to do the knocking thing, they felt like if they said no, their job would be on the line,
Right.
essentially. So the messages that Satori got were pretty brutal. The owner ends up sending Satori a message out of the blue a couple days before the Facebook post was made, that crazy rant, that reads, "I have no idea what you are trying to achieve, but I'm hearing crazy stories of the bullshit that you were saying about me, my blank, and the spirits at the Conjuring House have been filling me in." Yeah, so that's
Okay. Okay. And
What?
again, intriguingly, just a side note, because I like making suggestions. She was so very, very, very against even the utterance of the word demon.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Couldn't
But
say demon.
if she's being told disturbing things by spirits, if she, we call that demonic obsession. That's, that is one of the chief and principal ways that demons influence people is by whispering poison in their ears.
So there's that.
That's a weird.
But that's just a suggestion.
It's just a
That's just
suggestion.
an observation of behavior.
But nonetheless.
Nonetheless.
So, and the spirits of the Conjuring House have been filling me in. You were just pissed that you got fired, and then I will not pay you blank for the fact that you hired someone who burned down the barn, which we will get into.
We remember that.
Listen, the barn situation is a whole other can of worms. We'll get into that.
Stop it right now.
And that was a week before we arrived,
Yes.
the fire at the barn.
Yes.
Yo.
So she continues to say, grow the fuck up and look for new employment since you blew your employment at the Conjuring House to your dismay. I am not going into the woods with whiskey and dowsing rods, which nobody suggested that she should.
What the fuck?
Nor did I ever say anything to anyone about my blank. That's none of your fucking business. If you continue to try and ruin my reputation and my business, I will file a lawsuit against you for slander and tortious. What is
Tortious?
I don't know what tortious is, but that is what she said.
Wow.
So,
not tortious.
yeah. So, she then goes on to say, I have done nothing to warrant your lying hatred towards me. In fact, I am the only person to try and give you a significant opportunity, not like her dad is a member of TAPS. And
Right.
could give her
Sure.
plenty of opportunities,
Yeah,
but she's the one who's giving her the opportunities.
How tortious of her.
I know. To grow as people and to grow your business. I will make sure I include the investment I made for you with the barn in my post. If you don't stop your reckless direction of trying to destroy me, because he will be the only one, or he will be the only ones to be destroyed. I don't know what that means. I will never be defeated or destroyed.
There
Now,
it is again, defeated and destroyed. The word destroyed is such a weird word
it's
Yeah.
a
to
choice.
use in these things. But I will again say that kind of language, defeated and destroyed, is so grandiose and
It
so
is.
highborn.
Yeah.
That
It's like Darth Vader's talking.
Serenity
It's-
said, I'm getting my popcorn ready.
it's classic biblical demon talk.
It really is. And because
I
it's
cannot be destroyed. I
It's
cannot
that's-
be defeated.
Right.
You shall not defeat me. You shall not destroy me.
Honestly, this is her way out, y'all. If she
Yeah.
were to claim demonic possession, people would be like, oh, okay, it's the Conjuring House. We get it. You're forgiven.
Jeez. But the thing
Think about it.
is she just a suggestion though.
Yeah, purely a suggestion.
But she
Just
says that
suggestion.
phrase so much. I will never be defeated or destroyed now or at any time in the fucking future. So be it.
And she also,
See that language.
like the language.
It's about eternal.
Oh.
I will never be destroyed. I'll never be defeated. Not now or in the future. You know,
Yeah.
that creates a delusions of grandeur. Aside from demonic, it's also a sign to mania.
Yeah.
To possible psychosis.
She cusses like a 14-year-old trying to be bad.
Right.
Like it's just F word, and it's not even placed
With emphasis.
Well, it
yeah.
lives in the world of that delusions of grandeur notion that in order to punctuate the
Yeah.
absolute authority that I have, I'm using this language.
Yeah.
Because it's both heightened language and then it's also cursing. It's also swearing. Those two things together, it is juvenile.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
is.
It's
It
very
is.
It's like,
low
I'm going to
density.
sound. It's very
Yeah,
low density.
low density. Yeah, I mean, one F word at the end could be like way more impactful than
Absolutely.
just laced
Right.
throughout.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
A well-placed F-bomb
Yes.
can deliver a lot more damage than just saying it, nonstop.
You can tell how
Right.
impulsive it all is.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
So Tori then responds with, we have absolutely no clue what you are going on about. We were not fired. We resigned and were even kind enough to publicly stay respectful. Now you're coming up with us being fake just because you're mad. We aren't doing readings whenever you wanted at your beckoning. We literally stopped doing readings for you at the house in September/October because you just wanted to use us. There's plenty of witnesses to that. We are and always have been honest. That's really low to try and threaten us of lies, the owner's name, even for you. Satori also claims the narrative things that probably, made her mad too. But now going on to the barn situation.
Oh, I need to freaking know about the barn.
Right. We were so concerned about the barn.
Oh, yeah.
Like, right before we went, we weren't even sure that it was going to affect our stay.
And Chris and I had the most insane experience at the barn.
Yeah.
Which was also shut down as this is common knowledge.
Yeah.
It's like, it's even being common knowledge, it was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, true.
Edie said the next Parent Junkie shirt should just going to say low density person.
Yes,
actually,
absolutely.
Eni was on top of this before any of us. She's the one that sent the link.
Yeah.
And right when it happened. So shout out to Eni. She's like the reason.
It was all the talk
this
when we were
episode's
at
going.
Fitzpatrick Hotel.
Yep.
Like
Oh,
they
really? Was
they
it?
literally canceled the talk on the Conjuring house because of it.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Well, because
nuts.
at that point, it was still a developing thing.
Yeah.
Like,
So you couldn't say too much. Yeah.
right.
Well, they just didn't want to.
Sure.
But for context, Cody and Satori have a museum of haunted objects. And they had talked to the owner of the Conjuring house about possibly using the barn to house the museum.
Oh,
especially
that would've
because
been cool.
they were employees as
Yeah.
well. They had agreed that if they worked together to fix up the barn, the owner would be able to use it for event space and what have you, but the museum would also be able to be put in it, which I agree would have been really cool, to have that in the space. But that they had worked on the barn, trying to renovate it, and one night, in the middle of the night, the barn caught fire.
Okay.
So a man named Steve, who was an employee of the Conjuring house, he's also a member of TAPS, and he was hired to do this extra work to help, stain things, stain wood specifically was the job that he was first given.
Okay.
So he was given this job, obviously, because of his association with TAPS and, Satori's family being, so close with everybody in that team. It made sense. But Steve had been staining the wood, and he put the rags in a bag in the barn, and for some reason, they combusted.
Oh.
So, which I didn't know was a thing.
Yeah.
That
It is a thing. That's actually a well-known thing.
What that with the rags? What do you mean? How
without
is that?
fire?
Oil rags and varnish covered rags. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's not uncommed. Although
where'd the
it is
fire
uncommon
come
in the
from?
winter.
Right.
A chemical reaction.
Oh.
Because the fibers of rags and it like slowly just starts to have a slight chemical reaction that ultimately can result in fire. They always tell you don't keep like oily rags like bunched up together or piled together or in a pile. For anybody at home, be sure that your oily rags aren't like just sitting in a corner somewhere.
Right. Well, and funny enough, too, so that is along the lines
Because that was what we were told too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
that's-
the full story that we
we
it was
were.
a bunch of oily,
It was oily rags.
that
Yeah.
caught on fire.
Well, and the funny thing is way after, like a couple months ago, somebody had made a comment on one of the posts saying, when I went to the Conjuring house, they said it was a paranormal incident that caused the fire.
Wow.
So, just saying that.
But we were far too close to the time that it happened for there to be that kind of speculation because it was all being shut down as,
Yeah.
This is what happened, this is how it happened, stay away. Don't go to the barn.
So after the fire had happened, Satori and Cody had sent the owner a message basically referring to, how they're going to get reimbursed for all the objects that got ruined in the fire.
So there was a bunch of haunted objects and the place caught fire.
Yeah.
I'm beginning to lean towards.
Right.
Wow.
So they said in the message, we would like to discuss with you about the sum of money that we had lost in the barn fire. we're still planning on opening the museum and the location, but trying to get it set up. We need that money because we saved up so much of that over the last few years.
Okay.
And so they asked for the money because when the barn went up, they had been told by the owner that they will be made good because it was deemed an accident.
So insurance money should have been.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Insurance
money.
deemed it an accident. So, Satori and Cody gave her all the receipts and all the sums of whatnot for the amounts of objects and everything that was destroyed in the fire. They were very thorough, apparently, about it. And so the owner responded to this message with, Satori, I did not get near the amount for the loss of the barn, nor did I get one dime for contents. There will be no reimbursement for your items that were lost because of the painting contractor that caused the fire that you hired to do your shelving stains, even though he was an employee. So he was an active employee of the Conjuring house at this point.
Whoa.
Yeah. I have lost close to X amount of dollars from that negligent act by someone with no clue what he was doing. So Steve was on in this.
I bet they pinned his picture so he could talk.
So
damn.
So Steve says that the owner was the one that gave him the okay to go into the barn and do the staining. She also was looking to give him more work in the future. So really, she was
the one who hired him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so Satori responded to the message with, respectfully, I'm a bit confused. You did agree since the beginning that you would pay us for our losses in the fire, and we have been unaware of any changes that have been made in that plan. You did also agree and approve any work done by Steve at the time. So they had to get her approval for everything.
You can't just walk in and start varnishing.
Exactly. Agree and approve any work done by Steve at the time, who was employed at the house. As well, you did also say that you had insurance and we reimburse us of what we lost. I'm a bit confused about your point made. I was even doubting my own memory, so I went back and checked our records to refresh my memory. Now, what I said was exactly what was agreed on. You said you would reimburse us for what we lost in the barn. It was no negligence under us because we both agreed on the idea. We all agreed that Steve could use extra work as you were planning to make him a full-time worker as much as possible anyway. We were not in any way hired to work in that barn. We did not cause any fire. We were caretakers with a verbal agreement to use the barn as a business. And also, mind you, Cody and Satori weren't even on the property the night of the barn fire.
Wow.
So they literally had no involvement in that. The owner responded to that. You are not taking any responsibility for your acts and decisions that led to the barn fire. And like I said, even though they were not here for that fire, but I did not get anything near the blank that I spent to create the Paranormal Artifacts Museum. I can't believe you had the audacity to continue to push for reimbursement when I was not made wholly aware for the extensive damage caused by soiled combustible rags thrown in a plastic bag containing sawdust by a person named blank, who did not read the instruction that said very clearly, highly combustible, dispose in non-combustible liquid. I'm not discussing this anymore, Satori. Best of luck on your new location.
Ooh.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yo.
So, so that's what happened to Cody and Satori. So not only are they being called frauds, but also they're out like a ton of money from this woman.
Oh, man.
Yeah, especially haunted artifacts. The problem with haunted artifacts is their worth is determined by something that isn't measurable.
Exactly.
So, you could have like a chair and it's just an ordinary chair, but it's a haunted chair. So now it's $1,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that happens with this, type of product. So yeah, no, that's terrible.
Trisha said if the owner did not receive the appropriate funds from her insurance company, I think this sue happy person would have immediately ran to an attorney.
Yeah, right.
One would think. But
although there's no indication that she has the wherewithal to actually sue people. She just seems to threaten it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. We
never
have yet
has-
to come across a single
Actual
lawsuit. Although I guess she got the whole property from a lawsuit.
Fair
right?
enough, yeah. Basically.
She basically used a loophole to tie up the sale of the property long enough for them to become desperate and for her to buy it, which is a type of savvy that is, dare I say, evil and or wicked.
Yes.
Low density.
Low density.
density.
Serenity also said, do you think the spirits ever yell at the lady for the heartache she causes? I would assume they are pissed off. I'm sure they're so annoyed with her.
Or they're feeding off of it.
That's possible.
Yeah. Hey,
forget
Lorenzo,
that
appreciate it, man.
Drama does feed the fire.
Right. Now, this one's a little bit of a quick one, but it is devastating for this man.
Eni says she's a trained lawyer, but she's not licensed. Interesting.
Oh,
is she not licensed because she didn't pass the bar?
Wouldn't that make some sense? But so the general manager, Brian, was owed $9,000 in back pay
That's a lot of back pay.
that the owner is refusing to pay.
Woo.
That's a lawsuit.
Yes, that
Yeah.
is. And I'm pretty sure because it seems like Brian has kind of stayed out of everything for the most part because he probably is trying to get together a good case, but which it sounds like he would definitely win. But when he inquired when he was going to get paid that money, he was told that the spirit of John Arnold...
Oh, here we go.
the spirit of John Arnold, who is one of the main spirits on the property,
Right.
told the owner that he was stealing from her. So he wasn't getting paid. Only because a ghost told her.
Again, demonic obsession, spirits that speak to you in negative tones to separate you from other people because the isolation of the soul is very desirable for the demon. That is how possession happens. If you go by the standardized, infestation, obsession, possession, that is how it moves. But nonetheless, that's messed up.
Yeah. Honestly, the spirits have been talking to me lately, and they told me that people listening who are not parajunkies should become a parajunkie.
Or we'll sue them.
Or we'll sue them.
No, we won't.
So Eni said she
worry.
let it lapse. That's why she's not.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, so he told her to check all the cameras because there's a million of them in that house, and all the audio devices because there's also a million of those in that tiny little house.
Wow.
They have in the house, and it will prove to her that he wasn't stealing because she believed that John Arnold told her that she refused to do any of that and threw him out.
I sometimes wonder if those cameras are recording
Right.
Oh, yeah.
because I don't believe they are.
Nah. When I saw that full body apparition, we weren't aiming the camera at it, and I hit
they
him
had
up,
cameras.
and I was like, "Listen, we'll pay. I know this woman talks money,
Yeah.
so I'm like, we will pay for that footage. I need to see if there's anything on it." And she was like, "No." I was like, "Okay, well, heard
Well,
that."
and it's like because you would think that they would definitely cash in on the numerous things that they can show
Right.
captured on those cameras.
Yeah.
Why aren't there more why isn't the security footage shown more regularly just as a commercial?
Yeah,
Just as,
Right.
I'm saying, I don't know.
because I want to say, it's an easy enough thing in the contracts to say you're being filmed on. We were told that we're being filmed on site, so you could use it in any form of advertising.
Exactly.
Also, real fast, y'all, we have a little bit of yard work going on outside. He'll leave soon, but if you hear something weird in the mic, I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it, but if you can, that's what it is.
So Serenity said it's going to be like Oprah. You get a lawsuit, and you get a lawsuit, and you get a lawsuit. Serenity.
Oh, yeah.
She also told him if he went public with the fact that she owed him $9,000, she would sue him. It's a drinking game now.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like-
No, it is a drinking game.
But so that's unfortunate. The unfortunate situation for Brian. I have not seen any further information on if he has an active lawsuit, which he definitely should, because he should definitely get that $9,000
I feel
back.
like it wouldn't stand up in court that a ghost told her that he was
It
stealing.
wouldn't.
No.
I'm pretty sure that would be a very difficult thing to, especially if you have like, an employer agreement in
Right.
place.
So just an interesting point that was made in Jason's video that I found interesting. All of the employees interviewed in Jason's video claimed that not only were the employees being mistreated, but they felt like the customers that were paying to do events and investigations at the house were being mistreated by her as well, which we've obviously talked about. But I do think it's interesting that even the staff recognized.
Oh yeah. Well, if you watch TikToks of investigators who've been there, they oftentimes list it as the lowest rated place that they visited.
Yep.
They oftentimes will discuss how much they did not enjoy their experience there.
Yeah.
And it was never the space. It was never the place. It was always, having to jump through weird hurdles and,
Sure.
doing weird hoops and all kinds of strangeness. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, speaking of that, we're going to talk about the rules. Because I don't know if you remember y'all watching on the live stream. I'm pretty sure all of you, for the most part, were around when we did the Conjuring House live stream. And Megan and I showed you the rules that were posted on the wall, that it's like as thick as the Bible, practically. It was insane. That's a new thing under her rules.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure. We actually got a sensation that these were new,
Yeah.
because they also would not allow for anything that belonged to the Conjuring mythos.
Yes.
Like you could only speak about what was approved by the house and not what is generally accepted as the stories of the Conjuring house.
You can't
So-
suggest anything.
Right.
Right.
You certainly couldn't suggest
You can't
anything.
suggest anything, even if it would make sense historically.
Right.
But
Absolutely. Because
Yeah.
I think that was one of the big ones, was wondering if there weren't, indigenous people who died on the spot because it was a battlefield.
Yeah.
There should, the concept of there being casualties on both sides of a battle seems reasonable, but we got shot down. We were
We
told
did.
that
We
there's no
couldn't put it in
record
there.
of any
It's not in
native
there.
ever dying on this land. And I'm just like, ever?
Yep.
literally,
Seems like they lived here longer than this house was around, or this property, or even, the war.
well, and that was the thing, is we're like, so you mean to tell us that only white soldiers are haunting this land? That's
Yeah.
highly unlikely, just in any haunted property that has battles like that. But nonetheless, so when so Corey and Jen had said when they owned the property, they said that there was never rules like that. Obviously, they had general rules,
Well,
like
yeah.
don't, like destroy the
set it on
house.
fire.
Yeah. But there was never the rule that people filming at the property had to sign a form saying anything filmed there had to be approved before it could be made public.
That's
was
so that
never
was
a rule.
the question of Trisha. That's how they got us.
Yeah.
We had to sign a contract that said
yeah.
that they had, the rights to nix anything that we put into video.
Yeah, we knew that
So,
going in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we knew it going in, and we signed a contract that stated that they had final say in the edit of our videos, which seemed like it would not be a big deal because we weren't doing anything, we certainly didn't think we were going to be doing anything outlandish, and we didn't.
Yeah,
But we
no, we didn't.
got flagged so many times for making suppositions or even just conversation. We were like,
Yep.
literally, we would have a tangential conversation about something similar and be like, you can't talk about that. Like,
Yeah.
But it's an example
Right.
of
Yeah.
what we're experiencing. So it was very odd.
It was very odd. And according to Jen, the new rule about having your footage approved before it's posted, she believed in the beginning was so that people couldn't walk into the house and make up lies and
Right.
things like that, which of course, is a very common thing. But when you
Makes
own a
perfect sense.
haunted property, it's kind of hard to avoid that, but
Especially when you're dealing with the variety of mediums and psychics who are interpreting spiritual energies that they may have brought on with themselves, that may be if Madison's grandmother is speaking to her, then they would have said there's no grandmother here, and it's like you
Yeah.
don't understand the
true.
Right.
process of this, of this type of communication.
Yeah, she didn't get it.
That's a
but
great point.
Alex
great
said, if we get more drama, this segment should be called PJMZ.
What does that mean?
Like
PJMZ? Like TMZ?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Trisha said, but you didn't know she was this crazy.
We did not.
We did not realize
not.
it was to this
PJMZ.
extent.
And we are just to be completely transparent in this, we're not saying she's crazy.
Nope.
This is the evidence that we've been given. We are supposing that these
Suggesting.
are indicative of, some form of disturbance. But I don't want it to come out that we're just bad mouthing her. We're just dealing with information as
Reading
presented.
evidence.
Right.
yes.
And it was all evidence that was presented by the people who were interactive and directly involved. So
Right.
if you go and watch that Jason Hawes
Yeah.
video, you will see all of these and the people who actually received these texts, and
Yeah.
received this abuse.
Yeah.
And Jason actually had, because he brought up this question to Jen and Corey, because he had mentioned that he has footage from the Conjuring house way before, this woman ever owned it. But he said that he had footage that would debunk quite a few claims of the house.
Sure.
But he doesn't think he will ever be able to air it because it wouldn't be approved.
Oh, wow.
And
It definitely wouldn't be
wouldn't.
approved.
No.
Nope. Take it from somebody who went through the approval process. No, the hell it won't.
She shouldn't have any say over a video that was taken before and without that
Right.
agreement in place. Without the agreement,
I mean,
even us right now, we can say whatever we want about the Conjuring house.
Yeah.
We can say, there's a four-headed demon eating squirrels.
What?
There wasn't.
Okay.
I wish there was.
was
No,
glad
I
you
don't.
saw- I'm
I do
glad you
not
saw
wish any harm upon squirrels from four-headed demons. But
low density,
what I'm saying
Chris.
is we could discuss openly our experiences there. But honestly, it left a bad taste in our mouth that we didn't
Very.
that we didn't want to keep promoting the Conjuring house in a lot of ways because we felt that it was so restrictive and so difficult. And we wouldn't really want to subject other people to it. We
Right.
wouldn't want to tell other ghost hunters, go there because it's a great experience. Because the truth of the matter was, the experience was actually pretty awesome.
Yeah.
The ordeal of trying to express the experience was terrible.
Yeah.
And the product that we got at the end was far from what we would have presented.
Right.
Because we're better storytellers than that.
Preach.
Very true. Interesting point of the rules too. Employees also have to have their personal experiences approved before they can share it publicly. Employees have to have this woman approve their experiences before they can tell it on tours,
So that
before they
kind
can
of
post it, anything.
Micromanaging, desperation of power, that it's got to be exhausting.
Right?
It's got to be
gotta be
exhausting to
exhausting.
spend your
I
entire
was
life
thinking
worried
that.
about every thought and in everyone else's head.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
Now we're gonna move into poor Reed. Poor Reed's experience.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Reed has his own section?
Yeah.
I liked him, y'all.
Yeah,
He was
he-
a good dude. He looked tired.
As a matter of fact, he told us directly something that they came out and said, this has never been talked about.
Yeah.
I was like, we never heard it until we were there.
Yeah.
The crooked head man.
Could
Yeah.
have had man. Yep. Yep. That's
which
the one.
we had never heard. And we're like, oh, that's really interesting. We'll use that. Also, they wouldn't let us record his tour.
No, they do it.
Which
They
would have
wouldn't.
helped us so much
Right.
in corroborating things. But no.
Yeah. And poor Reed had been through the ringer the week prior to our investigation. So actually just a couple days prior to our investigation. So Reed, who was our tour guide, when we investigated the house, originally was employed by Corey and Jen. But stuck around after the selling of the business and continued to work there. And Corey and Jen had like nothing but nice things to say about Reed. They said he's very hardworking.
He's a great dude.
Yeah.
Squad.
They, even though he was being mistreated by the new owner, simply because he stuck around because he loved the property so much. And he said he was said that he would pour his heart and soul into that property. He was there all the time. He, things like that. So Reed was the caretaker on the night of January 19th when the owner did not show up for the tour. The day. So what Reed told us, because we had asked him about this, the way that their scheduling worked was if you were a caretaker, you get booked out for a week at a time or so.
Right.
And you would stay on the property. I think they had
like a trailer.
Yeah,
right there, right?
there's a trailer.
Yeah, right across the yeah.
And so he had to be there for all of this because he was the scheduled caretaker for that week. So a day prior to this January 19th situation.
That was exactly a week before we got there because we were there January 26th. When I turned 30.
Technically, we went in on the 25th.
That's true. You turned 30
on the morning of. Okay, so okay, not almost a week. Okay, got it.
So a day prior to that situation, a message was sent to the owner that read, "At this point, the entire staff is at a loss about what to do in regards to the business. We have tried every avenue we can think of to reach out to you. We gave a deadline of Tuesday, January 16th, 2024, for you to get some help or the staff would walk." So they've been threatening for that entire staff to walk since literally right before we showed up. We don't want to walk, but you have left us no choice. We can no longer work somewhere we don't feel safe or being paid and can't get in touch with you. You're completely unaware of the issues that have been going on at the house for the last 2 weeks with no means to pay for them. And they listed the issues that were happening just a week before we got there.
Oh, wow.
Just mind you. So these issues included the basement flooding. The basement, that cellar that we were in, flooded. And they had to get a whole new pump that had to be installed and a jack post to keep the floor from caving in.
Oh.
Okay.
So that was disturbing to read. But nonetheless, having to shovel the snow by hand because neither of the snowplows were working. The heat was a problem, which actually makes a lot of sense because it was very cold in the house, but that's neither here nor there. We were like, oh, it's just an old house.
It's January.
Yeah. There is a desperate need for salt. The driveway is a sheet of ice. If we don't get a response to this message by 8 p.m., we will be canceling all scheduled events and offering refunds to guests for the next week. For the next week.
Oh, that was us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been us.
Our investigation would have been canceled.
And keep in mind,
oh man,
that driveway, if it was ice, you would have just gone rolling right into the prairie there.
Yeah.
Because you go by the barn and it's like,
yeah, oh yeah, you can sled down that bad boy.
So yeah, if it actually hadn't been for Jen, who was the one who took the initiative to fix everything that week, we would have not been able to do our investigation.
That would have been
really awful, actually.
Really awful. Horrible. That would have been horrible. Although we also wouldn't know all of the stuff we know.
Right.
Too, on top of that, it's like not only would it would have sucked, but we would have been like in the dark when this happened. It would have been sprung on us, and we'd be like, "What?
What? We're in Rhode Island, and there's
we did like a 3-part series leading up to this. Like that would have sucked so bad. I mean, I was turning 30 inside the Conjuring house. That would have been like the worst birthday present ever.
Literally.
All right.
That's if you didn't fall through the floor.
Right.
Anyways, so we will be canceling all scheduled events and offering refunds to guests for the next week to give you time to come up with a plan at this point. You do not have staff coverage starting tomorrow morning, and no one is willing to come in and cover until you receive some help. We are all devastated by where we are now, but we feel like we don't have a choice. We wish you the very best and hope that you will get the help you need. So this has been an ongoing thing where the staff have been like, please get some help.
Dang.
Well, let's face it.
In multiple ways.
She is claiming to hear voices that are telling her, I mean, that's room for that's cause for alarm. That's cause for concern. That is, something that, and that she actively tells people who it is that's speaking to her.
Yeah.
And being paranormal people, we can still say there's a time to be concerned for someone's
Right.
well-being, especially
Yes.
when voices are telling them to pit themselves against people who are trying to help them.
Right. So the owner responded to this, and mind you, this is January 18th. They had bookings on the 19th. But, hi, Jennifer. I'm on my way to the Conjuring house tonight. I'm showering and leaving. I should be there by 8:30. I understand and wanted to discuss. My app is completely down, and I have not been able to see anything. I don't know what the app is. I guess it's
Probably
probably
video
their...
camera.
Huh?
Is it video camera?
No,
Probably the booking.
Yeah, I
app,
think it's their
you
booking
know,
app.
telling them who's coming when and
Yeah.
scheduling and things like that. I'm imagining.
Yeah. So I gave our ex-employee name was given checkbook days ago to get whoever paid. So that part I'm confused about. I'll be there by 8:30 tonight. There's a light on in the trailer. The response was, she was able to mail out checks to everyone. So I'm assuming this is probably their admin person. Sure. She was able to mail out checks to everyone who needed to be paid. Corey and I ordered the pump and jackpot posts from Home Depot so Cody and Satori could pick it up. And salt is still needed to be ordered as the icing just started the last couple days. They mailed us a check to cover the pump, and caretakers will check in and will leave as soon as you arrive if you want to sleep inside. We really do hope you get the help you need. At 8:35 that night, the owner still wasn't there. So they texted her a series of messages that read, "Are you still on track to arrive soon? Should we assume you're not showing up? Should we start canceling tomorrow's tour / overnight guest?" So I guess if we don't hear back in about 15 minutes, we will just start emailing the tour guests for tomorrow. We don't want to give guests too much of a short notice. Just let me know, please. The owner responds, "I'm so sorry. I'm coming tomorrow." Even though she said she was going to come in that night to start working on things because they had overnight guests the next day in a flooded basement. So, I can cover tours. My app is still down. The staff responded with, "Okay, so you'll be there by 1 p.m. for tours? Do you want me to screenshot the names? Both are booked at 13. So she sent her the guest names and everything. She was supposed to be there by 1 p.m. Well, at 12:55, the owner was not there the next day.
Oh, my Lord.
So the staff had to tell all of those guests that there would not be a tour because there weren't any people to give a tour there.
Wow.
Because-
You know, that Burrillville traffic, though.
Right. So the staff had to, and I guess Reed at this point wasn't technically supposed to be giving tours. And so he was the one that had to tell all the guests that there aren't tours.
Reed.
And so they had to put a sign on the gate, and everyone had to get, who was going to have the overnight that night, got an email from the Conjuring house at 12:55 the day of.
Yo.
So, and they told the owner, please keep an eye on the emails because we had to tell all these angry people that, sorry.
We almost got this email. That's crazy.
We were just shy of getting that email. That's absolutely true.
God.
So, poor Reed had to deal with, that was like the straw that broke the camel's back, and Reed had to be the one that took the brunt of it because this woman did not show
that
up.
makes so much sense. I mean, this man had like those green Publix bags under his eyes, bro.
Yeah.
Like he looked like he hasn't slept in a minute.
Well, it's a heck of a week.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, and then it started showing up online that people had paid for tours, but when they showed up, no one was there, and they were having a hard time getting reimbursed.
Okay.
So people weren't getting their money back.
Big
And
yikes.
There were people who had overnight bookings. So you know how
Those are
expensive
costly.
it was. Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
So that was the big T. That's what led into the big, big walkout of the employees, everything we've already talked to.
Yep.
So mind you, that's basically the gist of everything that went down. But there was a added little thing that Jason posted about, actually, because he was the one who's really been the face of all of this, trying to get it
he really
public.
has.
and things like that. And this woman went after Jason Hawes after this.
Bad idea.
So the owner of the property, and this video is on their Facebook. The owner of the property claimed that Jason had trespassed onto the property one night when she was there at the house, even though there were guests there who had cars. Obviously, it's in the middle of nowhere. You have to drive there. Right. And these guests, basically, they had left at like 4 o'clock in the morning or what have you. But she recorded the guests leaving in a red truck, and she tried to say in the post, I can read it to y'all. Hold on.
Oh my God.
1 second. Yeah, so this is incredible. Watch what happens. The guy who pulled up in the truck at 2:30 a.m. looks like Jason Hawes. The guest for the overnight investigation looks like Jason Hawes. We really are divinely protected, and so are all of our well-intentioned visitors. This is the third time I posted these videos. Some hijacker of our TCH account has deleted most of my posts, and I will find out who they are. Goodness. How can evidence of paranormal activity be so threatening that they need to do anything to prevent people from seeing it?
How interesting that that's her take when that's what she does. She suppresses evidence that doesn't suit the narrative that she wants to go forward.
Right. And according to Jason, because he had only talked to her briefly, like a month prior to this, because you're not familiar with a lot of the TAPS members. They were plumbers, so he was trying to she was having some type of plumbing issue, and so she had reached out to him and been like, "Hey, can you put me in contact with a plumber, a good plumber in the area?" Right. And so, being a nice guy, he was like, "Yep, here you go." That was the only kind of conversation they had, and now she's trying to say that he is plotting an assassination attempt against her and threatening her life.
Oh, these are dire. That's a dire thing to put out into the universe. Alex asks, "Are we canceling the Conjuring hounds?" We are presenting the information that is accessible to anybody. We are talking about the unfolding drama of the Conjuring house because it does affect the paranormal community. We are asking that you decide for yourself what this information means. But in the end, I don't think we have to cancel it because her actions seem to be doing a good job of running it into the ground, and it will not operate, I don't think. It cannot continue to operate, certainly as is, but probably not under the kind of management that is currently in charge.
And Alex asked, do the Ghost Brothers have any comments? So we've not specifically talked to the Ghost Brothers about that type of experience, but I can imagine because they had a somewhat similar experience with them with, editing and stuff. It was very complicated because of the 360 videos that we had done that were going to go on Dalen's channel, and the fact that Dalen wanted to post his stuff and the whole like one channel thing really caused some rifts for everybody involved, So I am sure they're probably they didn't handle as much of the communication as we were doing this jointly. So JT really got the brunt of her disdain for not following her rules, I guess.
And just the pure micromanagement of the narrative and a narrative that is not in any way expressive of the kinds of things that people experience there. Exactly.
So like Chris said, take the information as you will, make your own decision. If you want to still go to the property, that is totally up to you. More than likely,
buyer beware.
Yeah, buyer beware. More than likely, I don't think we're going to be returning to the Conjuring house
unless there's a change of management.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And which I have to imagine that will occur simply because if you cannot keep it staffed, you cannot keep it running. If you cannot keep it running, you cannot make any form of income off of it. If you can't make any form of income off of it, the best thing you can do is sell it.
Right. And but the point of all of this is, you never know what's lurking underneath. And sometimes the scariest thing about a haunted house is the Karens that run it. So Hopefully this at least brings awareness to people of, the situations of the staff and, holding this person accountable for their actions. Hopefully, the employees get their money back and all of those things. And we feel very sorry for all the employees that were mistreated at that property.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, Reed, I hope you had a good night, if at least when we were there. But and it is very sad because the property's history is absolutely fascinating. It's a very interesting house on a paranormal front as well.
And just in American folklore.
Right.
Just in, never underestimate the value of places that carry stories and hold stories. Because even beyond the stories that you uncover through digging through history, it's also the stories that people whisper late at night. It's the stories that capture your imagination. It's the stories that people make movies out of, or grand suppositions about. These are at the heart of the endeavor of looking into the paranormal and looking into the supernatural. Is that we are trying to contrast the world that we've constantly dealt with, that is, hard and so direct and so in our face. It's like, just the idea of the next thing, of the veil and looking beyond it or experiencing something like that makes it a worthwhile venture. And having said that, there's a house like the Conjuring house in every community in the country. You can find your ghost house right in your own backyard.
And if you want to go to a famously haunted place, go to Waverly Hills.
Waverly Hills
they were
so
fantastic.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Tina is absolutely a delight.
Tina.
So, go support them if you're going to spend that amount of money on travel and, unless you live in Kentucky.
And we're learning all the time of these places that are having more and more, openings, other insane asylums and penitentiaries and former murder sites that all have taken an eye to this paranormal tourism, and it's going to have to be you want to be accommodating, you want to be cost effective, and you want people to want to come back.
Right.
And so, those elements are at play at other places. We hear a lot of wonderful things, and there's always, the Stanley Hotel and Lemp Mansion is an actual, bed and breakfast that you can stay in. And we can actually probably house our entire team in a nice hotel
for the price
of trying to squish us into a tiny rural Rhode Island farmhouse.
Basically.
Basically. But yeah, so again, we hope that the former employees of the property, find better places to work, and hopefully they continue.
Luckily, New England is woefully haunted.
Exactly.
Just go down the road. Poke Lizzie Borden in the face.
And we'll finish this with, I really hope eventually Andrea Perrin will speak out on this, because I would
like that. And, because the Ghost Brothers have a really close seeming bond with Andrea. And I'd like to think that that all of this will blow over while Andrea is still able to, visit and participate there, because it would just be terrible for her to get tied up with all this nasty politics.
Exactly. So, but yeah, so hopefully y'all enjoyed your steaming hot tea.
That was a lot of tea.
A lot of tea.
It's a lot of tea.
Next time we do something like this, hopefully we don't ever have to again, but next time we do something like this, we should have some actual tea.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't even think about that.
Yeah, we should have, but that's fine. Next time, hopefully there's
we'll have a paranormal tea.
Yes. Paranormal tea. Cool,
but
cool.
Yes. So with that, my name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Susi.
And stay low dense, friends. Stay spooky, y'all.
Low dense.